Hello everyone! My name is Karolina Nemcová. I am a woman grandmaster and I love duck chess. Now that it's out there, let's get you on board with this awesome and fairly new chess variant. To assure you that you are in good hands, I can tell you that I've coached a number of prominent duck chess newcomers, and I can foresee a bright future for them in the duck chess world. Anyway, what will be covered in this video? We will talk about where to play. We'll go over duck chess rules. They are different compared to standard chess, so I don't recommend just winging it. Next, we will go over duck chess terminology. And at the end, I will show you a few of my cool and quick games in duck chess. So let's get into it. What? You wanted to say hi? Sure, go for it.
Hello.
Awesome. Wait, you too?
Howdy!
Is it too much? Nah. Okay, now that we are complete, let's get you started on your duck chess journey. First, where to play duck chess. Duck chess is available on chess.com. So what you need to do is to create an account or log into your account. When you do that, you land on this page. Now, you go to play. A lot of players go to live chess, but in live chess, you are not going to find this variant. You need to go to 4-player and variants. Click there. And here you are. You see duck chess. Let's click on it. Here you are in the play tab, so you can challenge people. You can select any time control you want, for example, rapid one or blitz, or you can also decide here what kind of increment you want to play. You can play with random players, or you can see what friends are online. And you can, of course, make other stuff like rating range, and if you want to play rated or unrated. In the next tab, in the lobby, you can see what are the current challenges. You can limit it also to only duck chess. So here you see there are only 2 challenges so far. You can also go to arenas. Wow, there is a Quack arena starting in 2 hours and 31 minutes. Next, you can go watch and watch any games that are being currently played in duck chess. You see, a lot of cool duck chess positions. In the archives, you get to view your past games. Here you see all my last games that I've played. And then friends. If you see your friends here, then you can challenge them. All right, let's go back now and talk about duck chess rules, because that's the really important part. When you click on this question mark, the duck chess rules will appear. Let's read them. The duck is a brick. Pieces cannot move through the square occupied by the duck. However, knights can jump over the duck. Each player's turn has 2 steps. After moving a piece, the duck must be moved to a different and empty square. There is no check or checkmate. Capture the opponent's king to win. Invented by Dr. Tim Paulden. Shout out to Dr. Tim Paulden for creating this awesome variant. Stalemate only occurs when there are no legal moves left. Note that walking into check is illegal. The stalemated player wins.
Surprise!
Let's move to an actual chessboard and see how these rules apply. Here we go. So we read that each player's turn has 2 steps. First, we make a chess move. So let's play e4. Second, we have to place a duck on an empty square. Right now, you see that there is no duck whatsoever. So the player who plays with white pieces has to launch the duck by clicking on any empty square. When I go over any empty square, you see how it highlights, and we can launch the duck there. Duck on c5. Now the turn has been completed, and it's black's turn right now. Just a side note, you have 20 seconds to complete your move, meaning making a chess move and placing the duck to an empty square. If you don't complete it within first 20 seconds, your game will be automatically aborted. And you don't want to lose the rating. So remember, you make a chess move and you launch the duck on an empty square. Next, we talked that the duck acts as a brick. Pieces cannot move through that square, on that square occupied by duck, only the knights can jump over. So right now, black cannot play pawn to c5. You see, the computer doesn't allow it because it's occupied by the duck. Let's say black makes a move, e5, and now places the duck on f3. So what do we accomplish now? We don't allow the knight to jump to that square, and we don't allow the queen to go anywhere here or there, because that would be going through the brick and that is not allowed. We are also stopping king's gambit, no f4 on next move. As you can see, both players share one duck, so there are not going to be two ducks launched to the chess game. Let's say I develop a knight. Now I have to place the duck to an empty square. I have to move it away. Even if I was comfortable with the duck standing on its square, I have to move it. There is this flickering sign under the board that reminds you to move the duck, move the duck. So let's say I'm gonna move the duck here, stopping the knight. And that's how you play. You make a chess move, you place the duck, and that's how you complete a full move in duck chess. All right, next part of the rules. There is no check, no checkmate. Capture the opponent's king to win the game. So once again, there is no concept whatsoever about checking or checkmating the king. Let's take a look. This is a position from my game where my opponent played this. Now, this is a major problem. This loses the game, unfortunately, because I simply captured a king. And that's what happened, and I won the game. Another example. Here, this is a little bit more advanced. It's white's turn to play, and white can win in one move. I'm gonna give you a few seconds. And I played this. Rook g7 and duck h8. Now the king is in check. I mean, remember, there is no concept of check, but the king is being attacked. My opponent here decided to give it a try, capture the knight, and also attacked my king. The problem is I'm the first one who is capturing the king here. One more example. Here it's black's turn, and I can make normal fork, like in normal chess, which is also very strong in duck chess, where I am attacking the king, attacking the queen, and placing the duck here, which is blocking the bishop, but really it's just placing the duck somewhere. Now my opponent should have just moved the king and placed the duck somewhere. They didn't do it. They wanted to capture my queen first and place the duck. The problem is I can simply capture the king now and win the game. And that's what happened. In order to win a game, you really have to capture the king. So let me show you another example. Black played king e6 and duck there. Now the king is under attack. However, the king is not like flickering or it's not highlighted, so you really have to see that you are attacking the king, which unfortunately in this case I forgot. On my next move, I simply developed a bishop and placed the duck there, completely forgetting I can capture, and black got away. He moved the king to safety and the game continues. So you really have to capture a king. In duck chess, the king completely ignores check or checkmate. It can castle into check, through check. Let's see. Here, this bishop is guarding this diagonal, but our king doesn't care. We castle and place the duck to stop the check. And we are good. We can continue in the game. Remember, all the standard rules about castling, they apply in duck chess as in normal chess, meaning If you move a king, you cannot castle with it anymore. If you move with one of the rooks, you cannot castle with them anymore. So it's really only the difference about the checks, meaning you can castle through check, into check, and within check. I will highlight here that the concept of check, it doesn't exist. In this position, I played knight c2 and duck e2, thinking this is gonna get the king and I'm winning. And my opponent actually resigned here. Game over. But this game is not over because white can get away. White can move king f3, kind of ignore this, but quickly plays the duck on e4, and white is fine. So in duck chess, it's pretty challenging to close on the game and checkmate your opponent's king. There are a lot of ways how the king can get away exactly for the reason that they can ignore the check and use the duck as a shield. All right, we have last part of the duck chess rules that we need to cover, which concerns stalemate. Let's take a look at it. Stalemate only occurs when there are no legal moves left. Note that walking into check is legal. The stalemated player wins. Wow, that's a shocker. Big difference compared to standard chess. If you're gonna be stalemated, you are gonna win. But let's see if it can really happen in a chess game. And let's recognize what is a stalemate to what is not a stalemate. This is from my game, White to Play. White has a very strong move here. Let's see if you can find it. I played knight e7, duck h7. So I'm stopping the king from going here, and king has only 2 squares to go. This is not a stalemate. The king can move here. The duck chess has different rules about kings. They can be close to each other because remember, you can walk into check if you want, and the kings are gonna be captured. So here, black has to place the duck somewhere, and white can win now. Game over. So this was not an example of stalemate. This is winning for white. Let's take a look at another one. In this game, black has only one move that is not losing on the spot. Black has to move the king, has to make a chess move. All these moves lose on the spot because the king can capture the other king. So that is why my opponent here moved the king and placed the duck somewhere. Now it's my turn. What do? And I move the king, place the duck, and kind of smothered the king. The king cannot go there, and when it moves to either of those squares, I'm gonna win. And in this position, my opponent resigned. So again, this is not an example of stalemate. The king really has to have no legal move whatsoever. When I checked the duckchess.com website, what they say about stalemate, then I found that they call it the fouling rule. So if the player on turn has no possible moves whatsoever, not even a king move onto an attacked square, then the player without a move has been fouled and wins the game immediately. Now in the brackets they say that due to the extreme difficulty of arranging such a position, this rule has virtually no impact on practical play. It is mainly relevant to composed duck chess problems. Wow, there are compositions in duck chess? That's something I'm gonna explore. That's new to me. This position is very unlikely to happen, and it's kind of even illegal because no pieces could go through that bishop. But I just made it for the practice purposes of what is stalemate. When we look at black's pieces, they don't have a legal move to make. The king cannot move anywhere, rooks cannot move anywhere, bishop is stuck, and all pawns are blocked. So had this happened in a duck chess game, black would have won. Now I'm gonna make just a small adjustment here. And I switched the black rook for white knight. Now, if this was to happen, this would have not been a stalemate, because black has a legal move, and that is black can capture the white knight. I know the king is gonna get captured afterwards, but that's just bad luck. That's like the king is zuzwanged and has to make the only legal move. So you can see that getting stalemated in duck chess game is pretty impossible. So you may ask yourself, is duck chess always resultative, or can there be a draw? And the answer is, there can be a draw. First, you can agree with your opponent to make a draw by simply offering the draw and your opponent accepting, or the other way around. Or the second option is that you repeat moves, 3-time repetition. But the 3-time repetition has to also include the duck being repeated on the same square. So it's not just about repeating the chess move, the full notation has to be same. So let's say knight somewhere, duck somewhere. That's one move. And then if both players keep repeating the exact moves, then that's going to be a draw as well. For me, that has not happened yet. So that's all about rules. When you know these rules, you are ready to play duck chess. Now there are 2 important things that I want to teach you. Those are things that I discovered later, but they are very valuable. The first tip is that you can pre-move in duck chess the same way you can in normal chess. And it is very valuable, especially if you play blitz or bullet games. Because remember, you also have to move the duck somewhere, so making 2 moves really wastes some time on your clock. So how to pre-move? When it's your opponent's turn, you can already make your own move. Let's say I'm pre-moving g6. And when my opponent makes a move, let's say this, oh shoot, now it's not gonna work because they placed the duck there, so I cannot move my pawn. But were they to place the duck somewhere else, that pawn g6 would immediately go there, and all I would need to do is to move the duck somewhere else. And the second secret, which is really major tip, I bet that many of your opponents may not be aware of it. And that is, when you pre-move, you don't risk making a bad move because you can always undo your chess move, which is really cool. Now on the server, it will look like you made the move, but under the board, there's going to be this flickering sign saying move your duck, exclaim, and then there's going to be a rounded arrow. And what the rounded arrow means is that when you click the rounded arrow, you can undo the chess move. So you don't have to worry about pre-moving and making a bad move. You can always take back that move. So let's say I'm pre-moving e5. Now my opponent makes move d4 and my e5 move immediately appears. And now I'm like, you know what? I don't like this move. So there's this flickering sign and I hit the rounded arrow and I take it back. Maybe I want to play d5 and place the duck here to block the bishop and block the queen. And all is good. Next on our menu is duck chess terminology. Small disclaimer, at the beginning, these terms are not official. They were invented by me, my Twitch viewers, or we all heard it somewhere. However, that should not lessen their importance, because once you know a name for a specific chess situation or event, you can better understand it, better integrate it with your already existing knowledge, and then use it when it applies. So these terms are good to know. First term you want to know is Quacktics. And here we have some very cheap Quacktics. White to move. White can take with this queen, this bishop, and then place the duck anywhere on this rank to stop this black queen from capturing the queen. And that's what happened. Queen takes g7, duck e7. Another one. Now it's black's turn. And again, we have a very cheap Quacktics. Knight takes knight, and then we can place the duck on either of those 2 squares and win an extra piece. Knight takes knight. Another one. black to play here, and we see this queen attacking the rook. The rook is kind of defended by this white queen, but one thing you probably already noticed is that long-range pieces are not the great defenders. And here we can capture the rook, place the duck on f2, and we block this queen from attacking our queen. And we are also giving a check. Once I was also a beginner, a newcomer to this chess variant, and in my first game I think I felt all the Quacktics. So let's take a look at that. Here it was my turn, and I decided to play bishop e7, duck f1 to stop white from castling. What I didn't notice is that this queen is actually attacking this pawn. And look what happened. Queen takes pawn and duck h7, and I lost the pawn. The game continued in similar fashion. I moved the king to run away, but didn't realize that again, this queen is attacking the rook, and this queen is a horrible, horrible defender. And I lost the rook. And the game continued. And on this move, I recaptured the pawn and placed the duck there to kind of start trapping the queen so it wouldn't go back. But it wasn't a great choice of move, because this is a problem. And I lost another rook. The game had only 3 more moves. And you know, the problem with duck chess is sometimes you are so focused on those crazy, duck moves that you forget that, you know what, this is a check, but this guy can simply capture me. And that's what happened. And now I moved the bishop and the duck, and I lost the king. To be fair, after I moved the bishop, I realized that moving the duck would lose the game on the spot, but I didn't know I can undo a move. So you should know that by now how to do it, and you wouldn't need to lose this game. You would simply click on the rounded arrow and play something else. Moving on from cheap Quacktics, from simple captures to trapping pieces. White to move in this position. How do we trap this knight? We trap it by moving this pawn to attack this knight and then placing the duck on the only escape square. And here we go, we won a piece. Similar position, we notice again the knight that is on the edge of the board, which is very tricky, and we can trap it. We play g4, duck f6, and the knight has nowhere to go. Next one. Here we are going to be trapping bishop. So black to move, and black can trap a bishop. We move this pawn to attack this bishop, and then we place the duck on b2 to block the only escape square. White can capture and remove the duck to a different square, but we go back, and it is inevitable for white to lose this bishop. Next one. Here again, black to move. We're going to be trapping the bishop on the edge of the board again, and I will give you a few seconds to figure it out. And you probably already found it. We're going to play knight f4 to attack the bishop, and then we're going to place the duck on g4 to block the only escape square. Now we move on to advanced Quacktics. This is my very recent game, white to move, and I decided to play rook b1, duck a2 to trap a queen. And my opponent actually resigned in this game. But what I realized here is that black has a really nice, resourceful way to get out of this position. Want to try to find it? Black can capture the knight and place the duck on e4. The idea is that I am reserving this spot for this knight, so when queen captures queen, white has to move the duck to a different square, and then the knight can jump on e4 and give a fork, which is pretty incredible. And after analyzing it for a bit, I realized it's actually not working because white has an awesome resource here. White can actually take and place the duck here. And now I am indirectly guarding this square because remember, when black will move the knight there, it has to move the duck somewhere and then the rook will be able to capture the knight. I know, your head is probably exploding. It's crazy. But that's how, resourceful duck chess is. There are a lot of tricks and a lot of counter tricks. Next term is Quackmate. Now, what it is about. In this position, white captured the pawn and placed the duck on f2. Now it's your turn, black to move. What to play here? How do we give a Quackmate? And maybe you found it. It's queen takes g1 and duck f1. Now, why is this a Quackmate? So we are kind of attacking the king, not really. But the thing is, remember, after white makes a move, they have to place the duck somewhere else, leaving the king attacked by the queen. Because as you see, the king cannot escape anywhere. This would be suicide, and no other squares are available. So my opponent decided to capture the pawn, give me a check or attack the king, but then they had to move the duck, and on my next move, I captured the king and won the game. Next one. In this position, black played king h6 and duck f6. Now it's your turn to give a Quackmate. Yep, and again, you probably found it. It's knight f8 and duck g7. We are trapping the king. We are not giving check. We are not attacking the king directly. That's why it's Quackmate. It's like the duck is in the major role. Because this knight is guarding these squares, this pawn is guarding this square, and the duck is blocking this square. So the only thing black can do here is to move to one of those squares and get their king captured. My opponent decided to resign. All right, next one. Here, this was a really cool position. Black decided here to castle and place the duck on c6. Now we are moving from Quackmate to just checkmate. And here it is, knight a7 and duck b8. We are attacking the king, blocking the only square, and on our next move, no matter what black plays, we will be able to capture the king. Next one. Here it's black's turn, and as you can see, the king has only one square to go to not be captured. So I moved king f8 and placed the duck here, otherwise white would be able to checkmate me. And white now has a very strong move. White played queen c8 and duck e7. So now white is attacking my king. I have to make first a chess move, and no matter where I go, the king is going to be captured. So I moved here, and I got my king captured. Now, I know we are playing duck chess, but even in duck chess, you can win by giving a normal checkmate. Let's take a look. In this position, white captured the pawn and placed the duck on h4 to, I guess, stop the rooks from looking at each other and potentially being captured. But black has a very strong move here. queen f2, and we don't need even the duck to checkmate, because this pawn is defending the queen, and this king is checkmated. So no matter what white plays, let's say here, we will capture a king on the next move. Next one. Here I played and placed the duck here, and I have a very brutal way to checkmate the king. Now it looks like it's unstoppable, but there is a way to defend. Let's see if you can give it a try. My opponent captured a pawn, placed the duck somewhere, and I captured on f7, trapping, smother-mating the king, and after any move that black does, I captured a king. But let's go back, and let's see if you were able to figure out how to save yourself. There are actually two ways. One way is to move this pawn and place the duck on h7. The idea is that after I take here, I have to move the duck somewhere else, which gives you an escape square for your king. So that is one option. Second option is with a similar theme. It means moving the bishop away and then placing the duck there. Because on my next move, if I take here, I have to move the duck somewhere else, and then the king can escape. So you see, even if you are in a horrible position, try to be resourceful, try to find a way out, try to save your king. Because truth to be told, checkmating or trapping the king so we can capture it after is not that easy in duck chess. Let's take a look at this position. I was black and I have a gigantic advantage. I have 2 rooks and a queen. In chess, that would be like a very easy win. In duck chess, it should be an easy win as well, but getting the king just proved to be quite challenging for me. So what did I do? I moved the rook forward, and they went here. Now you see, I would love to place the rook there, but then when I move the duck away, let's say I move the rook here, place the duck somewhere, they can simply take it and block this. And if you think this is a checkmate, it's not, because I can even move my king here and then block. Okay, let's go to see what happened in the game. So now I'm really trying to have more pieces attack this square, because then you cannot block all the pieces who are defending the rook with just one duck. But my opponent placed the duck there. So I gave a check. Place the duck here, and you see they are going for promotion as well. I went there. And luckily, this is enough now, because if you take, again, you can't block both rooks from attacking the king. So you can block only one of the rooks, and then the other rook can checkmate the king. Next term you want to be familiar with is duck slip. So it happened in this game. It was white's turn. I was giving a check, and my opponent played this. Gave a check, and of course, he wanted to place the duck there to block the check. But the thing is that it's manually kind of challenging. You literally have to drag the duck to its square, so it's very easy to misplace it. I think the developers are working on making it simpler to be only clicking, but we will have to wait for that. Until that time, I think we can expect a lot of duck slips happening. Next term I want to talk about is indirect duck check. In this position, it's white's turn, and I played queen e6 and duck e7. And this is what I called indirect duck check. Now, why is that? Because remember, you cannot allow your king to be in danger. You have to move the duck on your next move. So really, you have to move the king right now. The king is indirectly attacked. My opponent kind of forgot about it, and then they ended up losing the king. A very similar term is indirect duck defense. Let's take a look. White played knight c4 and duck d5, attacking my knight. Now there are a few options I can do. I can obviously capture the knight, I can move away, I can also defend the knight. But what I decided to do is to develop my rook on an open file. Some chess strategy is still handy. And then I place the duck on d6. Now this is what I called indirect duck defense. Because indirectly I am defending the knight. If you are going to take the knight, you have to place the duck somewhere else, and then I'm very happily going to recapture it with my queen. Next term is contact defense. So white played here queen d8, attacking my bishop. And we talked already about long-range pieces not being great defenders. So what I decided to do is I decided to play queen e6 and duck e4, and I'm really close to defend this bishop. We see contact defense very often happening with long-range pieces, meaning bishops and queens, or rooks. Because unless the rooks are right next to each other, they are never really protecting each other. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at this position, because this is one of the cool tricks you can do as a duck chess player. So let's see what white did. White played rook d1, and one could have thought that maybe they duck slipped. Maybe they wanted to place the duck there, but kind of placed it here. And black can now be very happy to go like, hey, I'm gonna get your king, checkmate, and place the duck somewhere. The problem is, this is losing a queen. White can simply take the queen and then place the duck anywhere on that diagonal. And they just won a queen. A very last term I have for you. Let's see, d4 duck d6. And now what my opponent did was what we called spot reservation. They played b6 and placed the duck here, not because they want to block their own pieces and they're mad, but because they are very smart and they are reserving this spot so the bishop can be developed there. So on my next move, let's say I play with pawn to c4 and duck on c6, and now they can very gladly develop their bishop. Were they not to place the duck there, and let's say play b6 and stopping my bishop to be developed, I can develop a knight and then place the duck, and there's going to be no fianchetto of the bishop. So that's why black really thought about it and placed the duck there immediately so they can reserve the spot for their bishop. Next one. This is one from my most recent games. You see my rating is low, but I'm farming my rapid rating, which is still kind of low. And what I did here is I captured a pawn, which is very obvious. But then the question is, where do you place the duck? Where would you place the duck now? Maybe you're like, hey, I'm gonna stop this rook from, I don't know, being active on this file. But then what could happen is white can, I don't know, move the pawn, doesn't matter, but then place the duck on f4. And you see, this knight will never escape, because these escapes are not very appealing, and there are no other escapes back. So what I did in my game is I captured the pawn and placed the duck on f4. I'm reserving that spot for my knight. And now when white moves somewhere, if I wanted to, I can move back and place the duck on g3, and that's exactly what I did. So that's all about chess terminology. I hope you are now familiar with Quacktics, meaning cheap Quacktics, advanced Quacktics, then some Quackmates or normal checkmates, then checkmates without needing the duck, then duck slips, indirect duck checks, indirect duck defenses, contact defenses, and spot reservations. The last item on the menu is me showing you two of my really cool and very fast duck chess games. So let's take a look. White played e4. I was playing the classical Sicilian defense with orange glaze. That's my new opening duck chess theory. A6 looks like a waste of time, but it's not. We are controlling this square for any future knight jumps, and we are also supporting this pawn to go there in the future. And again, to gain more space, more control of these squares. White is also fighting for some space, and we develop. Now this is a cheap Quacktics, because what we can do is we capture and place the duck there, but white cannot recapture with the knight, because even if you place the duck there to kind of try to go for indirect duck defense, after you capture and place the duck there, I will capture and place the duck here, and you lost a piece. So they did that, and they lost a piece. Now they attacked my knight and placed the duck here. Now I played a really cool and final move. I placed the knight on f3 to give check and to guard the square, and place the duck on e2. And this is kind of duck chess mother mate. There's no way to get out. My opponent tried to get out, and I captured the king. All right, one more. I started with d4, duck d6, which is my theory called Prague queen attack. Again, I'm going for more space. You're noticing that space is something I very much value. They like fianchetto. I know a lot of streamers were suggesting hippo or these kind of openings to play. I don't really support that idea, but I don't mind if you play it against me. I am fighting for the center. The good thing about knights, they jump over the duck, so this is defended. I am not joking about capturing more space. You see it's defended with 2 pieces. So even if they are long-ranged, you cannot block both of them with 1 duck. Development is also important. Again, this move, controlling this square. And again, attacked 2 times. So it's almost trapping the bishop. Now you see this is called spot reservation, right? Of course I want to jump there with the knight, so I want to make sure that my opponent is not going to place the duck there. So I do it first. And you can already smell some really big danger here, because I'm reserving the spot, and when that knight is here, attacking the king, and the king is kind of, smothered by its own pieces, some danger is ahead. And my opponent didn't see it, captured the pawn, and I smother mated the black king. There is no way for black to escape from this. And my opponent resigned. And that's all. You've learned duck chess 101. Congratulations. I know there is so much more we can learn about this chess variant. We didn't even talk about strategy or duck chess opening or some endgames basics, but that's something that we can save for the future. As of now, I recommend just giving it a try and see where it takes you. I will be producing more content for duck chess, so please subscribe to this channel if you are interested in seeing more of duck chess or even regular chess. And I will just end by saying good luck on your duck chess journey.